All right, everyone, this is my recommended book because this book transformed my marriage, took our marriage to another level, and there's no looking back. The Mindful Marriage by Ron and Nan Deal. I know it's called The Mindful Marriage, but it says create your best relationship through understanding and managing yourself. So I kind of want to talk about this because this is a book that we've also studied in our marriage class that helped us out a lot as well. And even getting to know other couples and seeing how their process worked through reading this book. Now, there are 4 steps, right, that they talk about that really helps you in this process of renewing your mind and to think different and managing yourself. And those 4 steps are, and I talk about this with my clients a lot. The first step is to say what you feel. The second step is say what you would normally do. The third step is say the truth. And the 4th step is say what you would do differently. Now, if you want more information on that, let me know in the description below because I can break that down for you a little bit in detail. But I want to talk about somewhat the first chapter because the first chapter is really impactful. And if I'm thinking about doing a series on this, I don't know. I'm thinking about doing a series of chapters. So if you are interested in me doing a series, doing 1 chapter at a time, I'm open for doing that. So let me know in the description below. Here are some things that I have highlighted from the book, The Mindful Marriage. He talk about emotional dysregulation, and he says emotional dysregulation is when the limbic system, particularly what is referred to as the midbrain or the downstairs brain, pumps the body full of energy when it perceives a threat, whether physical or emotional. This rudimentary part of the brain readies the body for action, for self-protection. Then he talks about self-regulation. In self-regulation, we engage the thinking part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, or the upstairs brain. That is the area responsible for decision-making, drawing conclusions, delaying gratification, and solving problems. To put it simply, the midbrain reacts, the prefrontal cortex considers. Every response we make matters. Why? Because behaviors eventually become habitual. Neurological pathways become set, creating patterns of dysregulation or regulation. In RT, we call these pain and peace cycles. Such cycles can be activated in a split second. And when you talk about the pain and the peace cycles, there's a certain pain that we carry from our childhood way before our spouse or significant other came into our life. But how we regulate those emotions, it's just like a trigger, right? So whatever triggers you and you aren't aware of what triggers you, you continue to repeat those same cycles over and over again. So that's why they call them the pain and the peace cycle. But they have a peace cycle to it as well. And we'll talk about that in a later chapter. So sometimes you can get caught in this dance of having the same arguments about the same thing over and over and over again. And it's like, don't we ever get tired of having this same dance, arguing about the same thing? It's just this 1 or 2 issues that it's a pain point for us, that every time we talk about it, it causes a fallout. We get into a big argument and we don't speak to each other for a couple of days. So, and I mean, I've been there. It's real. It happens. But when you become self-regulated, you become aware of where those triggers come from. So a lot of times it's not your spouse or your significant other. It's just because you haven't dealt with that one issue for whatever it is. It might be abandonment. It might be you feel less than, you feel belittled, you feel unseen, you feel unheard, a bunch of things. And I also have a list that we took in our marriage class that shows all the different emotions. It's almost like the emotions wheel. But when you're able to address those things, then your spouse can hear from a different ear. They're not just hearing you're upset. When you tell them that I feel, like those 4 steps, I feel alone, that's when the conversation starts to change, because you aren't being defensive. You're just saying how you feel. So that's a little bit just from the first chapter. When he talks about, he says, we used to try to manage each other. Now we manage ourselves. The switch has made all the difference. This book will help you learn what triggers you. You will learn how to stop reacting and start being mindful. So that's just some of the stuff that I had highlighted in the first chapter. I mean, I have other stuff highlighted. I can go on and on. But make sure that you go pick this book up. If you're single, especially if you're single, make sure you read this book, because it's going to help you, especially before going into marriage. I promise you, it will transform your life. Go pick it up today.